Council Chambers is muted.
Okay, so you missed roll call. Who? I had it on mute.
Any emergency additional agenda items? No? Registered comments from the public. We have Beth Malor and Karen Crow from Oakmont Library. Please approach the podium and state your name, address, and your names, please.
You need to turn it on.
Hi, my name is Beth Meller. I'm the director of the Oakmont Carnegie Library.
Hello.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if you needed our address. My name is Karen Kroll. I'm the assistant director of the Oakmont Library and the children's librarian.
Thank you.
We came today, and I hope you all received the paperwork that we sent over to discuss bringing a permanent story walk into Verona for the children of Verona. Right now, we have one in Oakmont. It's attached to the fence around a garden in our children's area. It's highly visible. Children love it. You can walk with a parent or caregiver, and the story walk itself is approximately between 19 and 30 pages of a story, visible, and the caregiver can read out the story, and there's also action with the stories also. So for the springtime, it might be looking for bugs or leaves or something, but it's very much an interactive storytelling tool. We have money from the Regional Asset District to do this. That includes the purchase of the materials to build the permanent story walk, as well as the installation of the story walk. The Oakmont Library would maintain the story walk, and we would change the stories out 4 times a year. We get the stories from the Allegheny County Library Association, so they're high quality and very visible for a small child to see. And then Ms. Karen has a second part of this program we'd like to bring to Verona from the library.
So in addition to the permanent story walk, we'd like to offer the community of Verona free books from the Scholastic FACE program. That's Family and Community Engagement. We offer the same books to our own patrons with barriers to service. And we also deliver those books to the Verona Lunch and Fun Camp and also the community garden story time. So those books would be the same books. They're brand new popular titles that children enjoy, picture books through 6th grade books. We can even get young adult books if needed. Those would be dropped off in a public space like the food bank or any other designated area that you think might benefit children. And this is so that they could build their own home libraries and establish literacy skills at home.
So these would be free to take?
Free to the public.
We always encourage children to start to build their own libraries, and so these would not have to be returned. They could just keep them.
When you're looking at the story walk, where are you looking?
That's where we want your input.
Okay.
We are not going to tell you where to put your story walk. If you're interested in doing it. You have the sense of where it would be best used by children and where it would fit. Some stories are 30 pages, so we would buy enough stands for a 30-page story. But generally they run about 19 to 20 pages per story because they're children's stories.
They're mounted in the ground.
The stands are mounted in the ground. They have like a vinyl cover that you can lift up so you can switch them. The ones in Oakmont are not nearly as fancy. They are attached to a fence. So this would be something that looks really nice and would be permanent. And in fact, if, for instance, your historical society or another group wanted to use one of the stands to promote something, or even just highlight a historical thing going on in Verona, we would say, go for it and use the stand.
So this would be like a stand, like maybe like put in a park and the kids can go over and flip the pages.
This is them, right?
It's,
Yes,
and
exactly.
it's right here, Dave.
And start reading from that.
You go from stage 1 to stand 2 to stand 3 to stand 4.
So there's that we look at it as also having a physical component, like they're walking through the story. I like storybook forest on
Right.
much smaller scale.
That sounds pretty neat. And how many would they need throughout the town?
30 would be the most, and you would have to have them kind of consecutively through an area. So 30 is the largest story that we have. They're generally about 19 or 20 pages normally.
So they put them somewhere like in the park here and just start in one corner and go like, I think it was every 14, 15 feet.
Yep.
And put
Correct.
another stand and put another stand. They walk to them.
Yeah.
I had a suggestion. We have, currently have an active transportation plan. And we have a lot of people working on, walkability of the town. It might be beneficial to ask the people who are working on that active transportation plan, what the best route would be to put the
Right.
storyboards on.
Well, that, and I
We've done
agree,
Assessments of.
and I agree, but we
crosswalks.
gotta watch because these are kids that are,
Yeah,
you know,
and they know, we
Right.
tell them that, they'll know what route would have handicap accessible crosswalks for strollers or wheelchairs, and what would be the safest route, because we're dealing with kids.
so what would be our next line, course of action?
Well, if you agree that this is something you want to pursue, then I would write the grant to get the money from the regional asset district
Mhm.
for it. And that would give you time to decide where's the best place to put it, where you'd
Okay.
like to see it. And as far as the books go, if you would tell us where you think would be the best pickup spot for children in the community to pick up these books, that's where we'll place them. And we are going to do this with the grant money for the books for an entire year, and then that will become part of Oakmont's book budget, so that the books continue coming after that initial year.
Would they be on like a shelf I mean, would we have to supply like a bookshelf somewhere, or does the library provide someplace to store them?
Or are they like the ones I always see that anybody, if you're taking a walk, people have them maybe in front of their.
Like the
What
the
they-
little libraries.
Yeah.
This would be, we would put it somewhere where it would be safe and dry. So we have done it with the food bank before. We put in children's cookbooks there. So someplace like that would have a shelf or something that we could put them.
So we provide the shelf, you provide the books.
Yes,
We could put them in borough building just because there are quite a few kids who come to the.
exactly.
Hey, and I.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It really does.
I think it's something we need to put on the workshop agenda to,
And I think Matt and I, as we're working on a multimodal that we'll talk about soon for the active transportation plan. That him and I might be able to look at the best route for that, because we're trying to connect the parks.
Are you comfortable with us going ahead with the grant then?
That's what I was just gonna ask. When do you need to know, in order to start the grant?
I've told them that I was coming down to speak to you. So I would say if we could know sometime in August, that would be great.
Yeah.
I could start working on the paperwork and then not do anything till I hear from you.
We have a workshop meeting at the end of July. I think we could probably have something in that.
just off the top of everybody's head is like, so they have an idea. Is anybody totally against it?
No, I mean, I'm for it. It's just a matter of where, not him.
Trish, would you be willing to contact the Active Transportation Committee? And see if they have any input of what would be the best route?
So the steering committee for the active transportation plan isn't currently active since we adopted the plan. I do still have the email list. I could email, maybe we want a survey with some suggestions. We heard a couple tonight and people can write in more.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
And the RAD loves surveys. They love. That's right.
Sounds to us like that everybody up here is interested in pursuing it.
Yep.
I mean, we have to vote on it at a action meeting, but just to give you a little heads up.
As far as the books to give out, how many are we talking roughly? So just an idea of how big a shelf we need is why I'm asking.
If you stop at the United Methodist Church where the luncheon fund camp is, I bring over approximately 50 a week.
It Verona Methodist?
I'm sorry, yeah, the Verona Methodist Church,
Okay.
the fun and luncheon camp, yeah, luncheon fund camp.
Okay.
So, yeah, about 50 books a week is what I'm delivering right now.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Very interesting.
Anybody have any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much. for
Thank
your
you,
time.
ladies. Appreciate it. No, you can leave that on. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up, we have Vicky Leisure, 850 Third Avenue.
Okay. Well,
State your name and address if you would, please, for the record.
sure.
Thank you.
Vicky Leisure, 850 3rd Avenue, Verona.
Thank you.
Last time I was here was August 30th of last year's with some of my neighbors who are all residents of 3rd Street. And we each took turns talking about the horrible conditions of our road. And when I spoke, I said that my main concern is for my parents, who are both in their 90s, who live at the end of the street, have been living there for 70 years. And I take them to all their appointments. So it's not bad. I mean, they come out of their house, then they try to get into my car, but the street has holes everywhere. My dad came down and he fell. He fell on the street, and that's what was my concern from the beginning. And that's exactly what happened. On May 25th, my father was walking to my car with his cane, fell over the debris from the road. Thankfully, there were 2 people that were there to clean my parents' home. They helped me with them. And when I called 911, and Verona police were dispatched to my location, and Lower Valley ambulance followed. They were quick to arrive, and he was transported to St. Margaret's Hospital. He was bleeding and heavily bruised, but thankfully he did not break anything but his glasses. But one of the lenses, they're still broken. We have a pair ordered. My entire family, especially my father, were very shaken up with this entire experience. I'm disappointed that I'm back again at the meeting July 11th, the following year, requesting that something be done to improve the conditions on 3rd Street to ensure the safety of all of its residents. My father and mother, like I said, are lifelong residents. And my dad's a stickler. As soon as a bill comes in the mail, especially his taxes, he writes a check out that day for his taxes. So he's never late on any bills. I'm sure everybody, a lot of you know my dad. He's pretty well known. But since last year, they patched a couple of spots here and there. But garbage truck comes down and tears it all up. And it's back the way it was. If you want to see something, take a ride up 3rd Street and go down the dead end part. It's really horrendous. So what do I say? Some of the people even had to have their car serviced because of the bumps and everything going down the road. So I have some pictures of my 93-year-old father who fell on the road. Pardon me?
I've seen him on Facebook.
Yeah, I put it on Facebook. I did. But it's horrible. Pardon me?
I've seen them.
I'm sorry. Now he has dementia. So he doesn't know a lot of things, but I'm just real disappointed. I have heard that alleys are being paved in Verona. And our street, I know it's a dead end, but there's still a lot of people who live on there. I'm sure if the school was opened, maybe it would have been fixed. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but that road definitely needs paved. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Pitch has been working on a couple things. Maybe Matt, you can explain the whole why some of the alleys were picked over 3rd Street and where we're at with 3rd Street now.
Yeah, and with the alley, just so you're aware, that started in 2020. So it's a grant that the borough received that is multiple years old that is just finally going to construction this year. So it's not that we picked alleys over Third Street.
Well, I'm sure 2020, our street is still bad.
Absolutely, but I'm not, since you're concerned, it wasn't, we didn't push it aside and say, let's pave alleys. As far as the roads go, we did complete the robotic survey. It's on the wall over there showing all the roads that are in poor condition. And unfortunately, there are a lot of them. We did not pave any roads last year due to budget constraints. And I'm working with Stephanie to work on our paving budget next year. And there's quite a few roads, so we're not making promises as to which ones we're getting to.
Already as bad as.
But I can promise you, I was up there last week with DPW. We were looking in the COG has some equipment we were looking into borrowing. I'm not sure the time frame is going to work out with that, so we're looking into renting equipment. It's not going to be a brand new paved road, but we're going to try to get as much of the loose chunks out.
I mean, we've had them patched, I don't know how many times.
Well,
Vicky, if you have something to say, please come to the thing. He's speaking now. We had public comment.
we're gonna do what we can in-house. DPW is not a paving company. So we're gonna do the best to remove the loose items. And then we're looking at getting it on the schedule. As far as a full street paving, I can say that's probably not gonna happen this year due to the timing and budget constraints. But so we are gonna be up there making as best repairs as possible.
Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
That's it under public comments. Or registered comments. Now comments from the public. At this time, council will hear comments on public related items. Please approach a podium, raise your hand. Limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Let the minutes reflect that there is none.
Thank you. Okay, comments from the advisory boards and commissions. In your packets, council. First thing that's up is the minutes of May 9th, the approval of the May 9th minutes. I'll need a motion to accept the minutes. I'll make that motion. Motion by Dr. Carpenter, second by Mrs. Provenza. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Thank you. Next up is the mayor, Mr. Recupero, report.
Yeah, Matt, did you ever get up to, the alley between First and Maple, the runoff of the sewage?
Yes, I was up there last week with County Hauling and DPW. We did some additional dye testing. We've come up with a repair that County Hauling is gonna come. I believe it's scheduled for Tuesday morning, so that will be getting taken care of finally.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is, on Arch Street, there's in front of the Duquesne Club, there's a repair, I believe the water company did, and it's a pretty good dip.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that needs to be, looked at as soon as possible.
I had a long conversation with the water company on Friday due to the water main break. And they basically, are so far behind on paving. They know it's there. They have a list of what needs to be fixed. The unfortunate problem is, as I can say, these men work till 2 o'clock Saturday morning. After having a water main break the entire afternoon. So their paving people are way far behind. They know they need to do it, and Craig and I and Matt have talked about having to talk to them about fixing the road, but
That one down there is pretty deep.
They
too.
need-
I
They
understand
need
it.
to throw some asphalt in there, or somebody needs to do something also.
So water main break on James.
Yes.
Yeah, that also, somebody needs to let the water company know that we passed the full width paving
They,
and they're not.
yeah, please understand that broke Friday night.
No, I understand.
And they fixed it. They told us when they left, I was there. And told us point blank that they would patch it the best they could at this time. that they understand that.
They were gonna come back.
Yeah, they are gonna come back. They're pretty much, it looks like they pretty much, the way they made it sound, they're gonna have to patch from Diamond Way to East Railroad. So.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
They, you know, but I think everybody needs to understand the width of the pipe that blew Friday was. Chief and I saw it, it was huge. That road buckled. And in fact, to be honest with you, the way it looked when I saw it Sunday was way better than I thought it was gonna look, because it was bad. Very, 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 very bad.
Years ago, before all of this council was on, when any resident or utility company or contractor would pull a permit for working on the roads. Either Bonnie or the street department used to go up, Bonnie, the borough manager at that time. And they would take pictures before and after. We need to get back into.
We have the pictures. We've done all,
Before and after?
yes, we've done, I sent you the pictures of what it looked like the minute.
No, I'm talking in
Oh,
general.
I know exactly what it looked like beforehand. I know exactly what it looked like the day the water main broke.
I'm not.
And the day, after they fixed it. I mean, no, I have all food stats. I do know what it looked like. Unfortunately, the one thing we don't have is when a water main breaks like that and the street opening, that's considered an emergency.
It's an emergency, absolutely, absolutely. What I'm talking about is I need a repair on my house and I call a private contractor. I gotta come down, or the contractor comes down and pulls a permit. And what should happen next is either, like I said, the street crew, or, you know, if they're not available. In the past, the borough manager just went up, took a picture and put it on file with that permit. Then when the permit, or when the job was done, they would go back and take another picture of before and after. Is the way we used to do it years ago.
I have those pictures. I will send them to you tomorrow.
I don't want the pictures.
I'll send them to you.
I don't need the pictures. All right. The last thing is, Ms. Leisure went over the Third Street. I was gonna bring that up to see where we're at on that. So that's all I have at this time.
Like I said, Matt's been working on that. He was trying to get the cog equipment and that didn't work out. So we're just trying to get something. To get it a little bit repaired. Is that it, Dave?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Borough Manager's Report, Stephanie.
Well, we need, we're working on an emergency management coordinator, deputy emergency management coordinator. Unfortunately, the mayor has been asked to remove, and all the deputies are no longer part of the borough except for myself. And that was by accident that I got put on. We are working on that right now. I will work with the chief and, Sergeant Francos to work something out with that, to get that together and get that going so that it's finished and we fulfill the county's requirements.
Well, anybody on council can be a deputy. So just so you all know that. Or you could be the coordinator also.
Who's currently on it?
Me.
And Dom Conti, he asked to stay on it,
Okay,
and myself, but I'm gonna resign from that position as head coordinator. And so, we need to replace the coordinator and add deputy coordinators also.
There's a bunch of paperwork that has to be filled out. Nothing was done since Mark Stanton, so we have to fix all that. So we're working on that. He knows, Robert knows we're working on that, and we should I said we would have a preliminary list to him, and then we'll have to vote once we get closer.
is there training involved in becoming a deputy or whatever?
There is some training. I don't know at this time. I know, Ray, what was that course that was it a NIMS class?
Well, there's the NIMS class.
Yeah.
And we need to do that too,
Yeah,
that's true.
I've taken that, Ray's taken that. And there's some other, training, but it's really not a real big deal as far as, the training. But
Well-
something that, you're gonna get kicked out if you don't pass.
Yeah, yeah,
Now it's mostly online also.
okay. Well, I'd be willing to consider it, but I'd like to know a little bit more about it, but I'll talk to you later, another time.
And I have all the information that I've used since, I came on and when I was appointed in 2010. you know, and I will share with, whoever, you know, takes over. And I'll help them as much as I can, because I still will be involved in that if there is an emergency.
Right, but what we're saying is anyone on council can be on it and anybody from the public can be on it. They just have to live in Verona, basically.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Next up,
UCC Joint Board of Appeals Ordinance. This is a COG, a COG area-wide project. This ordinance would allow us to partner with the Allegheny Valley Northern COG to create a partnership for a uniform construction code board of appeals. This is something we're all supposed to have. We do not. This is a great way of a partnership because we won't use it all of that often. So you received the ordinance that Craig wrote up.
right?
And the hope is that we will vote to advertise it, which means the Parks and Rec thing will get advertised. And hopefully we can get everything signed, sealed, delivered by August 8th. I'm sure both Craig and Ray know a little bit more about it than I do, but
Craig would know much more because he's gonna be the lawyer for it, I believe.
I can talk about it when it comes up
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
new business portion
Okay.
of the meeting.
Sounds good. Next,
robotics map, it is hanging up here. It will hang in the lobby, starting, tomorrow. So you can see it. Shows the colors and know that it's red. There's red, orange, and yellow. Right? Yes.
Green,
Green. Yeah.
Oh, and gray?
green.
green,
Green.
Yeah, but on this list, there's a gray.
It's right there.
It's right there. Nancy.
Maps over there.
I know, I'm looking at the list and it
Okay.
says zero and there's gray.
okay,
A survey.
Okay.
Stephanie. Next.
Last but not least is the Second Street lien proposal. Our solicitor, will discuss that when we get to the business portion of the meeting. I just wanted you to know it's on the radar and we'll be discussing.
I discussed that in depth in my report. So council just needs to review my report and decide what they want to do. I
Very
mean,
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Code enforcement report,
You have a copy of the code enforcement report in your packet.
okay. Police chief's report,
You know, if I get back to that, I just said here, just with the, Third Avenue.
Yeah.
Street. We have, maybe if he could do a little more detail, I mean, what was done on Third and Jones and Selden and.
Okay, I will fill that out for you. Most of the stuff that was done this month was a lot, there were a lot of, property reviews, but yeah, I will make sure.
Thank you.
very good, thank you. Police chief's report,
Evening, everyone.
good evening, chief.
For the month of June, we received 137 complaints. 31 crimes reported and 30 were cleared. We had 11 arrests or summons issued. Crimes code summaries issued were 3, vehicle code summaries issued were 6. 12 borough code summaries issued and 99 parking tickets were issued. Our revenue sources, magistrates fines collected was $233.65. Borough's fines and fees collected was $515. And $30 in police reports purchased. The total fines and fees collected was $778.65. Another $115 in parking permits. I have nothing else.
We'll mention Bike Derby.
Oh, yeah, and at the bottom, we did receive 2 more donations to the bike program. Avalotis donated $500 and the Blue Bar donated $500 too.
Thank you,
Thank you.
very good, thank you, chief. Next up, fire chief report, Dan Teehee.
Good evening.
And Dan.
The fire company answered a total of 9 calls for the month of June. 6-3 vehicle accident at 4th Street at South Avenue in Verona. 6-4 commercial fire alarm, 6721 Silver Road in Penn Hills, false alarm. 6-5 Residential structure fire, 804 Plum Street in Oakmont, 2 houses on fire. 6-8, medical assist lifting a patient, 858 4th Street in Verona. 6-10, water rescue incident, One River Road in O'Hara, river traffic control for a sinking boat. 6-17, commercial structure fire, 190 Sycamore Drive in Penn Hills, apartment 208 on fire. 6-20, vehicle accident, 736 Allegheny River Boulevard in Verona. 6-26, we were dispatched for a vehicle reverse pedestrian accident at 800 Allegheny River Boulevard in Verona. Upon arrival, there was no accident. 6-29, commercial fire alarm, 6721 Sylvan Road in Penn Hills, false alarm.
Thanks, Dan. Here's your insurance, cards, Dan. New ones coming. Oh, did you get them already?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you got some there? There's like all sorts of them now.
Very good. Thanks, Dan. EMS report?
There were 52 calls in the borough. Lower Valley responded to 46 of those calls. Advanced life-saving were 20. Basic life-saving were 17.
Very good. Thank
Oh,
you.
and we do now officially have a Verona LVS board member.
Yes.
I can take that off the side.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Do that.
Solicitors report, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did submit a written solicitor's report. As I indicated, there's an in-depth discussion on the old convent property. All you need to do is decide what you want to do with regard to that. That's a council decision. I've laid out the options and the concerns. With regard to the UCC ordinance, we'll discuss that when it comes up on the agenda. I did mischaracterize it in my report as a resolution. It is an ordinance, and it was prepared as such, and that's all I have to report.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. Engineers report, Mr. Pitch.
Thank you. You have my written report, just a quick update on the GEDF grants, the 2021 and the 2022, talking with the COG. They're looking to have that to the paper and advertised within the next 2 weeks, so that those will be moving forward. And then the Second Street bids, they will be opened on Friday, and I'll have those recommendations for the workshop meetings. And then under new business, we have the resolution in the funding commitment letter for the multimodal grant.
Very good. Thank you. Committee reports, Finance, Dr. Carpenter.
Thank you. So for the month of June, we had revenues of $130,450, expenditures $121,096, for a net income of $9,353 for the month of June. Our 6-month half-year income is approximately $614,000. So that looks good. In terms of major receipts, we received the money from the grant for the body cameras for the police in the amount of $17,640. And we received our RAD regional sales tax of approximately $15,000, which is the best month of the year so far for that. In terms of major expenditures, we made a premium installment for our insurance of $13,000 approximately. The audit cost a little over $7,000, and we paid the Davy Tree Company approximately $7,000 for the tree removal at Cribs Field and some other tree trimming, I guess. Those are the major expenditures to report on. And you guys all have the bills. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll make a motion to pay the bills for June.
Motion by Dr. Carpenter to pay the bills for June. second by Mr. Floda. Any questions?
I have a question. Yeah, did we pay Davy yet?
Yes, we did.
Because they aren't done.
Well, we paid them. Sorry.
They haven't come and done the stump or anything.
Yeah,
yet.
that's a good. I don't know.
I emailed them this morning, didn't get a reply.
I'll use my phone.
Again,
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Passed. Thank you, Dr. Carpenter.
That's it.
Recreation and community events, Mr. Craig,
nothing at this time.
thank you. Public Safety Committee, Mrs. Provenza,
I right now have no update on parking ticket fees.
thank you. Next up, communications, Mr. Floda.
We had our Zoom meeting last week and we talked about coming up with a policy for meeting format. I believe everybody got a copy of what we have so far in the packet. And I was just asking for maybe input from anybody today or before our next committee meeting, so we can start compiling this into a policy form.
Very good.
Can we get a digital version of this? Then it would be easier to comment like in a different color.
Yeah.
And bring it back, send to you. You know what I'm saying? If it's in a Word document, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Is that it, Mr. Floda?
That's all right.
Thank you. Infrastructure and Asset Management Committee, Ms. Redzek Showalter.
Trish,
Trish, you out there? We'll come back to
maybe Jack's having a crisis or something.
her. Community Development Committee, Mr. Long,
This now I have no update.
thank you. Report on special committees. Alon, Mrs. Provenza,
Yes, sir. I spoke with Alon and, they will have a, function coming up in September, and that will be play shoot. And then in October, there will be a fall a fall conference, but we have no, information on it at this time. Hopefully, they said by next week.
They don't have any dates or anything.
No, they just gave me the month and that was it.
What month is it?
The play shoot's going to be in October. Or excuse me, September. October is going to be the fall con.
Okay, thanks.
New one.
is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. COG, the only thing I have to report is what they were talking about the UCC. That was the main thing that was brought up at COG this month. I just got a text from Trish, her computer froze up. And she has here nothing to report at this time, so.
Nancy, the Alon conference is October 15th to the 17th.
Thank you.
Old business, we have none. New business. Somewhat.
I did have some reports.
Yeah, we'll get to your announcements in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Motion to approve a resolution for request for a multimodal transportation grant in the amount of $206,000, $237.50.
You have the map, just so you know, this is, when they're speaking, this is the active transportation, when they're talking about kind of getting the parks all. That's it, and it would also add the, crosswalk at Wild.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Craig, second by Mr. Long. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Motion to approve a matching fund commitment of $88,387 $50 for the multimodal transportation grant request.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Craig, second by Mr. Long. Any questions?
So just to be clear. We're getting $206,000 and we're matching 88,000, I'm rounding.
Yeah.
And for a total of whatever it is. For the community park connectivity and sidewalk upgrades. And we have the $88,000 in the budget for this?
We're applying for a grant to get that, to
Yeah,
pay
and
for
then
that.
we would put in, there's always grant dollars that we owe, we end up matching every year, and that would go into the budget as we're working on the budget.
Right, oh,
At the
and,
very earliest, we
Yeah.
wouldn't find out until probably early 2024 that
Okay.
we were awarded this grant, so it would be more likely construction 2025.
okay,
So we're not looking.
so we don't have to worry about it.
You're not looking at
Right. And
$88,000.
the
Okay.
match amount is just the maximum. They require a 30% match, but you can request that it's reduced based off of community income levels, so. We just have to approve the 30%,
Okay,
but like First Street, it had a 30% match. And we got that project done with 0 match.
okay,
So it's quite possible, if awarded, we could drastically reduce that matching.
all right, just thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Next, we have a motion to approve to advertisement of the UCC Joint Board of Appeals ordinance. And I'll take a motion for that.
I'll make a motion for that.
Motion by Dr. Carpenter,
Second.
second by Mr. Craig. Any questions?
So, as Manager Wolford indicated, this is a joint uniform construction code Board of Appeals. And what the Uniform Construction Code Appeals Board deals with is construction code issues. Whereas the zoning hearing board deals with land issues, variances to setback areas, uses on your property. They're very similar. They do similar things, but one deals with the construction code and one deals with land uses. And by law, every municipality is supposed to have a uniform construction code Board of Appeals. And I can tell you that small communities like Verona Borough, few of them have that. And that's why many of the COGs, we're in the Allegheny County North COG, there's a Turtle Creek COG, there's a Shea COG in the South Hills. There's a couple other COGs. They're going out and they're creating these joint uniform construction codes of appeals, because one of the differences between a zoning hearing board and the UCC Board of Appeals is that the UCC Board of Appeals is the members are supposed to have certain knowledge, architectural knowledge or engineering knowledge, things that happen in the construction world. And those are hard to find. And when you can't find them, they don't want to serve. Anybody can serve on the zoning hearing board. So that's why the COGs are going out and they're forming these boards so that anybody within the COG can use them and utilize them. It's an ordinance of the Borough of Verona, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, entering into an agreement with other member municipalities of the Allegheny Valley North Council of Governments for the establishment of a joint uniform construction code Board of Appeals as required by the Uniform Construction Code, and hereby dissolving the Verona Borough Uniform Construction Code Board of Appeals. Bet you didn't even know we had one. You know why? Because we don't. We have an ordinance that creates one,
Mhm.
but it's never been composed with members. So this will give Verona Borough the opportunity to comply with the law and have that Board of Appeals.
Can I add something?
Sure.
My understanding from the one COG meeting I went to is that if you don't have a UCC Board of Appeals and somebody puts in an appeal, then they automatically win their appeal.
It's a deemed approval.
Yeah, So it's good to have one.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Where we at here? Announcements. The newsletter. Mrs. Provenza.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under newsletter, we're currently working on our autumn edition of the newsletter, and we would like to have your ads and your articles in no later than August 1st. And Donald, our editor, can be reached at veronanewsroom@gmail.com or by phone at 412-828-3607. And I can take ads at 412-828-7726. Chamber of Commerce, our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, July the 17th, 7 o'clock here in the Borough Building. And we got word that the farmers market vouchers will be given out on Tuesday, July the 25th. So don't forget to support our farmers market here, which is every Thursday from 2 to 7 p.m. And there will be no meeting of the Chamber of Commerce in August. Historical Society, there will be no meetings until September. And there will be another field trip on Saturday, July the 29th, going to the Stonehouse Museum in Salzburg, PA. And those that are going are to meet here at the Borough Building at 10 a.m. And they'll be carpooling from there. And I put out a big thank you to Rhoda for coordinating all these trips. Twin Borough Ministry, the next community dinner will be held Wednesday, July the 26th, from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Verona Methodist Church. And it will be hosted by the Verona Methodist Church. If you wish to eat inside the building, the hall is now open for eating your dinner at the hall. And lastly, ALOM, I already gave that, but I'm sorry I didn't have the dates, but as I mentioned, September will be the clay shoot and October will be the fall conference. And if you have any questions or any comments, I'll be glad to take them. And if not, this concludes my report, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Provenza.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple too. The Verona Oakmont Penn Hills Plum Trail is having a public meeting on Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Penn Hills Municipal Building. If you'd like to attend, it'll be on Facebook if you need the address. Movies in the Park is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is Friday, July 21st at dusk. And we also have flyers for a free dentistry day at Verona Dental, Friday, July 28th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's a flyer hanging on the community board, and there's some at the front, Linda.
Thank you. The next up is comments from the public.
I have something.
Okay.
This last Saturday, we had Shakespeare in the Park, hosted by Parks and Rec up in Field. It was very successful. We had over 50 people there. It was well received, a lot of crowd participation, and I believe they will be coming back at least 2 times next summer.
Cool. Thank you. Anything else? Comments from the public. At this time, we'll hear comments from the public on public related items. Please approach a podium, raise your virtual hand, clearly state your name and address, and try to keep your limits to comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Ellie Cabay. I live at 823 3rd Avenue. I have a couple questions about the robotics map, if I'd be able to ask them here and potentially receive an answer. You mentioned that it was just finished, what, yesterday? Or like at least last week or something?
No, that was finished
That was a while
end
ago.
of last year.
Oh, okay, it's going out on and gonna be in the foyer or whatever, the main lobby tomorrow.
Yeah,
Correct.
a map just like.
Okay,
It's right there. We just have the biggest version of, we found a big. version.
Our intent is to be able to have it accessible through the borough's website.
okay,
We're running into some technical difficulties, so we've printed some hard copies.
Alex, why don't you go ahead and give your comments and then the board will respond to them once you're done.
Okay. My first comment about it or question is, obviously, a lot of it is red, a lot of it is, not green. What is the list of criteria that you guys are gonna use to sort of prioritize certain ones? Or is it, sort of only based on distance, or basically just the criteria of when certain ones are gonna be completed? And when that list, if there is going to be a list is compiled, will it be publicly available to members of the borough to sort of see if or when their street is going to be fixed or repaved? And finally, is it going to be broken down by fixing potholes, repaving, sort of level of work done? And those are my main 3 questions.
Yeah, so to quickly touch on that, we are trying to work on a 5 or 10-year plan. Obviously, things change depending on the weather and how fast a road deteriorates, so it is just a plan. So even if you see your road on it for next year, there are some factors that go into it. As far as determining when, clearly the condition goes into effect, the amount of traffic goes into, and then there's the cost of estimating as well. One of the factors on third, with it having concrete underneath the asphalt and the concrete being in pretty poor shape, it's not just a simple remove the asphalt, put asphalt back. It's a more full depth repair. So there are several factors. It's not just because a road is red that it's instantly going to be next year's. But we've heard the 3rd Street complaints. We have reviewed that. We agree it's in bad shape. We've heard other residents come to the meeting. We're doing our best to try to get caught up. Unfortunately, we fell in a hole and fell behind. But we are trying to proactively and effectively schedule these repairs in the coming years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Here, anybody here? See Mr. Matlin.
Mr. Matlin?
Yeah, hi, good evening. Dave Matlin, 722 Bruno Street. Just regarding the paving, I'm really glad to hear that the robotics map is going to be posted both in the borough building and online. I heard just now that there was maybe some technical difficulties with the website. I also noticed on that note that some of the past agendas are not available any longer. So I don't know if that's related to the same website issue, but I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. But as far as the road paving, I no disrespect to Matt Pitch. Matt does a fantastic job as borough engineer. I think it was kind of shameful that the questions about the decision making regarding the road paving were deferred to him. Ultimately, the decision comes down to the 7 members of council. Yes, there's been a lot of financial difficulties over the past several years that have led to paving being cut from the budget, but that was a decision from council. That wasn't Matt's decision. That wasn't any other borough staff member decision. That was the decision of council. So I just hope that the council president and the rest of council would own that and, basically take responsibility for those decisions in the past and moving forward, instead of putting that on the shoulder of Mr. Pitch, because again, he's done a fine job. He's continuing to do a fine job, I think, in my opinion. I think it should be on council to answer to the constituents as to the decisions and what they're doing. And so far, I've not heard a whole lot of discussion about, how much money is going to be dedicated to paving. And the gentleman that just spoke, I had a lot of good questions about how the decisions are going to be made. And I think the robotics data will give a lot of good information. It's just going to come down to investing in our community. So thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Long, second by Mrs. Provenza. Any questions? All in favor? Against? Passed. Thank you for coming to the meeting tonight, everybody. Yeah, he was